I would like to start from his conclusion. So, what is the essence? Both Professor Singh and Dr. Upadhyay and I myself are emphasizing on having proactive mechanism, not a reactive one. What has happened, what is happening, we must know that, and the data-led narrative would be there, but we are here for solution. We have to seek solutions. Hence, the proactive mechanism of taking concepts from the earlier texts, civilizations, practices, mostly from here, because what is there has been overused. However, not limiting to our own only. For example, we all have been emphasizing on technology, which is basically the present day technology. There are technologies, we also have technology, we have some, let us say, indigenous technologies, but the dominant form of technologies have come to us from the West, but these are just means. How to use them depends on the software, the definitions, the theories, the concepts, and it is in this part we can work, and it should be equally beneficial for those who tortured, who attacked, who exploited us, and in fact, in this way we can go for a reconciliation of the East and the West. When we talk of the West, we are not talking because we want to divide the world as East versus West forever. We are just trying to diagnose the problem. When we mention Islam, when we mention Christianity, when we mention communism, when we mention capitalism, maybe we are using these terminologies, these references with negative connotations. But that is due to the particular context. But the real intention we have is to reconcile, to have some framework in which all in this world have equal access to sukha and happiness. And for this, we have to work not only with the concepts but with the methodologies, and here lies the relevance of what Professor Singh just raised. When we see texts here, not only Charak Samhita, that is one fine example, but we can refer Arthashastra, we can refer to Vakya Fajir, we can refer to any other text, Natya Shastra it may be. The nature here is to deal all dimensions of human life, not only human life. Humanism is not ideal here. In the West, what they have invented, let us say, what they have discovered is humanism will be the best solution for that. No, they are making yet another mistake. Humanism is certainly better than their binary system. At least they have started talking about humans of different races, ethnicities, nationalities, and so on. But later on, they will realize that there is more than humanism. This world is not limited to humanism, but the notion of Saridayata encompasses humans, other living beings, and even non-living beings. That is why we call Prithvi as Mata. And here, if we take example of Charak Samhita particularly, it has definition of theory, it delineates typology of theory and the methodology of theory building as well. The misconception across the world, because it is dominated by Judeo-Christian worldview, is that nothing in other part of the world or in other civilization is of contemporary relevance. It is not, but they think that. Not only think that, they want to impose that to others. That is why even the professors and researchers in the universities of our part of the world would be teaching that theory, the concept of theory or the methodology of theory is actually the invention of the European civilization, especially the era they refer to enlightenment and modernity. But when we see, we can read, it is readily available, the Vimana Sthan chapter of Charak Samhita, there we can find the definition given to theory, and it is Siddhanta in Sanskrit. But if you just replace the word Siddhanta by theory and try to translate what has been told by Charak, then you will find very fine definition of theory which can be there in the Western context. The definition of theory given by natural scientists and the definition of theory given by the social scientists and people of humanities and arts, only the collective definition of theory can match to the definition of theory given by Charak. I am not repeating that Sanskrit slok now. You can directly read it from that book, but it not only limits to that. If it would be that case, only definition would be found there, it would be by chance. But it does not stop with it. Then it goes to typology of theory, and it tells us what is hypothesis, what is theory for one discipline, and what is theory for all disciplines. So, from universal theory to contextual theory to postulates to hypothesis, and then it delineates the methodology for it, and for this it talks of pramana. I am not going to discuss it elaborately, but what I would like to certainly mention that the methodologies given by it includes what empiricism of the West tells us, how to use different means, how to use different techniques of data collection. For instance, observation, for instance, interview, for instance, questionnaire, for instance, case studies. And for this, it does not only claim that, but gives evidences, and evidences from various parts of the world. At least people now have realized Ayurveda is an applied science, and here in our part of the world, for any branch of knowledge, first they elaborately talk about the pramana, means of verifications, means of proof, means of investigation, and they have prameya, that the matters, what is to be investigated, and prama is the knowledge. So these three come together. Prama is valid knowledge. What is to be known? Prameya is to be known. How we will be knowing that prameya? It will be pramana. First they discuss elaborately. Charaka also discusses it. And for your time information, you will find that all means of investigation, verifications used by modern day science, it has scope for that. Especially when we go to method of knowing, it is the procedure, not the instruments, that is important. Because the instruments would be changing. Some instruments that we did not have in earlier times, we have invented. And the instruments which we don't have today, we will invent tomorrow. But if we limit the procedure for not to include certain instruments, not to go beyond, just like Professor Singh was mentioning, we should not stop creation of knowledge. But there are certain systems which stop creating knowledge, or at least try to do so. When you say this book is the final, this person is the final authority, and you have to just abide by this, then what happens? the physical situation, the worldly situation, the mental situation, it all changes. But the software, the theory, the book, the prophet you have, the Messiah you have, it does not change. There is no scope for statodynamic progressivism. Then there will be split personality. Professor Singh always discusses about it, and then it will create problem. But here, just like Charak Samhita, just like Natya Shastra, even you may go to Upanishads, where Agni Uddalak teaches his son Shwetketu how to use the method of experimentation and observation to gather data, and you come to conclusion only after you have evidences, you have data. Just like he says, data generated narrative, not the narrative generated, narrative based data, but always being open for accepting whatever given by the evidences, whatever is established by the data. And this certainly makes a person, a whole community, a nation, even the wider global society, for what Dr. Upadhyay was referring. Udar Charit. So, to view not only from one's limited view, from the perspective of only one book, from the perspective of the teaching of only one Messiah or prophet, but considering that as I am here, others are also there, as I have some viewpoint, others also would have some viewpoint, as I have one book, there may be people having so many books, and these books may give more information. So this preparedness to accept others, this preparedness to acknowledge others, this preparedness to open the doors and windows of the mind and acknowledge not only humans but other creatures and also non-living things as fellow beings. The manifestation of the same consciousness, the manifestation of the same Paramatma, Brahma, certainly makes us Udar what he is referring. And it also certainly makes us what he is referring, always being prepared for data-based narrative and accepting others, accepting ourselves, and in fact looking for mutual coexistence. What Buddha also would be emphasizing, Mahavir would also be emphasizing, Krishna, Ram, Shiva, Vishnu. If we say the goddess, in fact Devi, not goddess, goddess is the Western construct, Devi, if we see all these through different texts, through and translated through our rituals, are teaching us to live in this world with acknowledgement to others. And what is the essence of Saridaya? I would like to mention just a few things. We have theoretically constructed Rajya Rashtra Siddhanta, which is state nation theory. We have theoretically constructed statodynamic progressivism. We talk about Saridayata Darshan in new context, updated context. We talk about Saridaya model of economy, and we have Adarshila Chatustaya, the four sets in which we have put knowledge of science, progress of technology, conscience of dharma, and relation of Saridaya. So from this we are trying to address present as well as the future society, which many would term as society after fourth industrial revolution or more. So what Professor Singh has proposed is a welcome thing. In fact, he himself and we also have already started things in this direction. Some concrete outcomes are already there, but this is just beginning if we see in the broader context. And in fact, it would be very good to continue these things. And I think after this we will be continuing to work on these things in which intellectuals, bauddhics and honest pragya, professors and other scholars would work together from Nepal, from Bharat, from other part of the world, and we will have some more things to offer to the contemporary society, which is based on the original concepts, but reinvigorated, reinvented for the present world and for the future.
यस भिडियोलाई लाइक कमेन्ट र सेयर गर्न नबिर्सिनुहोला। फेरि यस्तै रोचक भिडियोहरू हेर्नका लागि यस च्यानललाई सब्स्क्राइब गरेर घन्टी बजाइदिनुहोला।